Hey!
Ah, how's it going?
Look who's here. I knew it was only a matter of time. You ready to shake things up? The new world awaits. Let's get hunting.
Looks like the game started us right back up in town, and it queued up the events for not Bloodborne, I keep saying Bloodborne. It queues up the events for Iceborne to start right away. So I guess what we can do real quick is look at the Xeno'jiiva gear, figure out what we're going to do with our current set of armor and weapons, and then next session we'll officially dive into Iceborne.
Oi, oi!
The Xeno'jiiva tree is another dragon element set. The stat distribution is a little bit different compared to the other dragon element ones. Oh. There's the Kushala sword. It lists under the black steel tree, but at the end it changes the ice element, and that's where that weapon is. That's good to know. The Xeno'jiiva set is pretty neat looking. It's this sort of veiled Empress looking set with the billowing membranes that the dragon has. The red parts are the pigment sections you can recolor if you want. Head has flinch free, which prevents knockback, special ammo boost. Chest has power prolonger and blight resistance. Hands have flinch free and crit boost. Crit boost would be a good one to have. Waist has blight resistance and special ammo boost. The legs have flinch free and power prolonger. The 3-piece set skill for Xeno'jiiva is razor sharp spare slot. For melee weapons, it halves sharpness loss. For bows and bowguns, shots have a chance to not expend coatings or ammo. Pretty handy skill to have, especially on the fast-hitting weapons. The beta set looks a little bit different. The veil shape is different, and the armor pieces are different. And the main difference, again, is just less skills, more slots. I wonder how far we can upgrade our armor. Well, 7 upgrades. Pretty decent amount. But we don't have a ton of spheres to do that. I'll have to think about that. Normally, if you've been playing the vanilla Monster Hunter world for a while and then you go into Iceborne, you have pretty much maxed out endgame armor sets from high rank. But for this playthrough, since we moved a little bit quicker than usual, none of our stuff is really maxed out. And I'm not entirely sure how much of a liability that's going to be when we go into Master Rank. Stuff hits hard on Master Rank. But we will most likely be farming up the lower level monsters just to create an entry Master Rank set, which will obsolete any of this stuff. So I guess what we could do in the next session when we start the Iceborne content is just see how well this gear holds up. The weapon should be fine. I think the greatsword will be adequate damage for entering master rank, but my armor might be a little bit on the light side. We'll see. Overall, good progress. We managed to blitz through the single-player content for base world. So next time we will start back up and dive into the new stuff for Monster Hunter Iceborne. So I will see you then. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back once again in a new recording session for Monster Hunter World. Specifically Monster Hunter World Iceborne. It has been maybe a week and a half or so since I recorded the last session of episodes here with our Hunter Elta. Biggest thing of note since I did the last recording is that this particular footage session is on my new PC build. I had mentioned it over on Twitter and on some previous videos, but due to the need to upgrade my old PC to Windows 10, I took the opportunity to buy some new parts. I picked up a new processor, new RAM, and some additional storage space. The rest of the components, like the graphics card, the existing drives, and all that stuff, the case and whatnot, are from the previous build. But the core components and the guts, I upgraded to some much more modern gen equipment. And the purpose of that was, one, to see if things like Monster Hunter will run better. But the main thing I wanted to do as part of the upgrade is get some more horsepower under the hood so that my video editing and rendering could be sped up a little bit. On the old build, to render one episode for Monster Hunter World, about 20 minutes worth, would usually take an hour or more. With this new setup, the same size video takes about 15 or 20 minutes, which is much faster and definitely welcome. In between the last recording session and now, I have been playing the game a little bit. I took some time to grind up some of the side quests in the base game. I did a bunch of hunts. I haven't unlocked everything. One thing I'm a little concerned about that I may have to deal with later is if I go over to the equipment, one thing I unlocked is another mantle slot, which is nice. I'll put the health booster in there for now, and the bandit mantle, which gets us money, we'll hold on to. But I also unlocked the waterproof mantle, which when equipped, it ups your water resistance and prevents water blight. Good for fighting things like the mudfish and things that inflict the water blight status. I unlocked the iceproof mantle, which nullifies ice blight and ups cold resistance, which will be pretty helpful against some of the monsters in Iceborne. And then I unlocked the thunderproof mantle, which does the same thing and negates thunder blight. Anything that hits you with electricity-based attacks will do less damage when you're wearing this. There's maybe 4 or 5 other items that you can take that I haven't unlocked because I couldn't figure out why the objective quests didn't pop up in my list. It could have something to do with the fact that my hunter rank is a little bit low, having just beaten Xeno'jiiva. But rather than spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to do all that, I'd like to press forward and move on to the Iceborne content, and I can always go back and do those other side quests and complete more of the base game to unlock that stuff later. There is a mantle on there that would be helpful to have, but for now, what we can do is continue on, and I can always unlock that stuff later. It won't really hinder things. Thinking back to the console playthrough I did, the iceproof one is probably the most relevant for the resistance mantles. And having the bandit one will be good for stacking up cash since everything's going to get expensive. But in between, I did some tweaking to my weapons sets as well. The Great Sword set is unchanged. The stuff that we unlocked from the Giant Angry Pine Cone is still on here with the arms. For the glaive, I did swap out one piece. I'll switch to it real quick here. Before we were using the Guardian legs, and rather than have the kind of supplementary defense skills in there, I crafted the Death Stench, which comes from a set that you craft by gathering things from the field and things from the safaris. And the entire set, which I can go back and look at later in the shop, is kind of this Grim Reaper looking set. But the skill on this one is Handicraft level 2. Which, compared to the just supplementary defensive skills of the Guardian set, this will definitely help for the glaive in boosting our overall sharpness. So that made more sense to slot in here for this particular loadout. It's not really going to matter too much as we go into Master Rank. This whole set's going to be obsolete very quickly. In fact, I might not even be using the glaive until I get a chance to build a functional set for Master Rank. Right now, both the sets that we're using, and we'll go in with the Great Sword, both sets are in the 300s in defense. The Great Sword set is more fully upgraded. I think almost every piece is maxed. And this one tops out at 337 defense, and the other one just a little over 300. I can't remember what my console endgame set was at a high rank. It's possible that some of the stuff I had was a bit higher defense, but having defense in the 300s is not going to give us much protection in Master Rank. I think as we go, I'll probably end up getting smoked pretty bad by the stuff there. But that's the core loop of the game, and I'm sure it'll be amusing to watch me get owned by some of the earlier monsters. Oh, I gotta save this slot here. We'll do this. There we go. Now my Bandit Mantle and Health Booster are slotted in by default. I think our gear loadout is fine for now. There are some things that I can pick up later that I can then use. Let me see if they're in the shop. They're kind of expensive, which is why I haven't bothered to buy them so far.
How are you today?
Let's see. Here we go. Power Charm and Armor Charm. These two items are not equipable. They sit in your inventory, but they bestow a passive stat boost to attack and defense respectively, just for having them take up 2 slots in your inventory. And that would put us at around 60k. I did grind up a little bit of cash since the last time, just doing side quests. But I guess we can buy these. And I'll go back to the box and we'll see what the actual difference is. Alright. If you look at our overall skills, total attack with this Great Sword is 1070. 1070 and 337 in defense. If we add these in and now take a look at our equipment, attack goes up to, she might not show it on this screen. There we go. 1099 and 349 respectively, which is a pretty decent hike for free. For essentially the cost of 2 inventory slots, that's not bad. Now, one thing you can do, I don't know if I have it unlocked because it's been so long. Those 2 items can be combined. Oh, here we go. If you combine the Power Charm and the Armor Charm with the Basil Geese Talon, you can upgrade them, but it doesn't look like it'll let me do that while they're sitting in my inventory. We plop them back in here. Where is it? Should be on the list somewhere in here. Oh, there we go. Scroll right by him. Alright. I managed to stock up a little bit of the Talons fighting the giant angry pine cone. And we won't be using the rest of its bits for the moment. So if you remember, it was 1099 and 340 something, 349 or so. If we take these items and drop them back in our inventory, put it in the corner where they're out of the way. And take a look at our stats now. We go up to 1114 and 355. So right away we've basically got a free massive stack of free stats, which will definitely help as we go into the next rank. And I'm going to save this in my main loadout. And we should be good to go. You'll probably see as we play, there'll be some quest prompts throughout the different areas. I did unlock the start of the Witcher collaboration. And I might do that down the road when I'm bored and have nothing better to do. But for now, we'll talk to the Feisty Fiver over here and we'll kick off the events for Iceborne proper.
Ready to go? I see.
Alright, we need to go.
Want to go check out this talk of a Legion in the ancient forest, Pard?
Yeah, let's do this.
We're going to go on an expedition in the forest to see why there's a Legiana there. Remembering to our travels so far, they only really hang out in the Coral Highlands.
There's a Legiana in the ancient forest and nobody knows why. I rounded up all the eyewitness data available. Follow me.
Because this is the new build and the first time I'm recording, I had to reinstall OBS and tinker around with the settings. I did a couple test recordings before this just to see the quality. Once I get done editing this, assuming the quality hasn't really dipped and changed at all, I may have to tinker around with the settings some more.
No mistake. It's really here.
What I should have done is...
Does the forest seem off to you today? Let's keep going.
I don't want to interrupt you here. What I should have done before I reinstalled Windows and everything was write down all the settings for my recording software.
It's exciting too, though.
One thing I hadn't counted on was the fact that the version of OBS I downloaded and installed was much newer than the one I was using on the old machine. So the settings were all in different places. And I had to sort of guess and figure out how to get it back to the quality levels that I was doing before. But I think I figured it out. Like I said, this is going to be a test. And hopefully my machine doesn't crash while I'm doing this, or I'll be very...
Wonder if the next investigation is going to be super long, too.
Iceborne, since it was released on PC, it has a problem hogging system resources. On launch, if you ran the game, it would basically hog your system resources and take your system up to 100% usage. It seems like one of the problems was centered around Windows Defender scanning the Monster Hunter folder. If you add the system folder as an exception, it seems to fix the problem. I was topping out at 100% on my old build, and looking at the monitor here, even with recording and OBS, audio recording and OBS going, I only have 35% CPU, which is good. Alright, where are we going? Can't pull my weapon out here. This is basically a guided path along the story.
It's gotta be up ahead. Plus, that gives me time to my own little investigation to do. That's part of why I wanted to come to the New World in the first place.
Does it involve food?
Ooh, which reminds me, you never told me what your reason was. Hold on. Looks like we're close. Guess story time will have to wait.